Welcome, everybody. So I'm Tammy Weber from Marshall, Parker and Weber, and if you tuned in a little bit earlier, we had some technical difficulties. So I'm going to use that as a learning experience of planning ahead. As much as you plan ahead, a crisis could happen. So it's very important that you think about these things and think about what could happen down the line. So I'm the managing attorney at Marshall, Parker and Weber, and today's Facebook Live is on how to plan and prepare for a personal care home. So with me today,
Hi, Tammy.
hi Wendy Myers. Wendy is here. Wendy's going to tell you a little bit about herself first and her employer, Celebration Villa of Loyalstock. Wendy, tell us what happens or what a personal care home is or why people go there.
Sure. So many times people are in a crisis situation and haven't prepared in advance. So there could be a situation where someone is at a hospital setting and it's just not safe to go back home, discharged to home without any caregivers present or family members nearby. So we sometimes do have a crisis situation where people are looking for a short stay until it's safe to go back home again, or a longer stay. So we do have activities of daily living. We have nursing care available. We are a personal care community, but we do have nurses there on site. So we do provide services, activities, and with COVID-19, we're seeing a lot of families coming to us because their loved one is isolated. So we can provide activities of daily living, help with different activities in the personal care home, as far as like care, medications, transportation, maybe they're no longer driving. And so we provide different services and levels of care. So when families come to us, normally they're looking for the first time. So definitely there are services we can provide to those families.
Yeah, it sounds like, it could be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's socialization with different people in the community. And I've also had some clients who want to downsize. They're doing okay at their house, but it's becoming a little bit much, and they take a trial run with you. So I think that's also something that you want to think about when you're looking ahead and developing your own checklist in your comfort level. You can try out a personal care home for a period of time. And as we go along, if you have questions, please type them and we'll try to answer them. And if there are questions we don't get to or the webinar has completed on Facebook, feel free to email me at webmail@paelderlaw.com. So Wendy, part of this, the subtitle, if you will, is making sure that your legal documents are ready to go, and I'd be happy to talk about them. But when people go to Celebration Villa of Loyalstock and they want to check in, do you require them to have legal documents, or is that optional?
So it does make our job a little easier in pre-planning for their stay with us. Many people come to us and have worked with the elder law attorney in advance and have pre-planned their visit and have all their documents in order. It's not a requirement, but it does help us because down the road they may not be in a situation where they can handle their finances, be their diagnosis, or they may not have a family member nearby that could help them, or maybe their power of attorney has passed and they did not update their documents. When someone is in our community and maybe they have an emergency situation and are transported to the hospital, those legal documents follow them so that everyone involved with their care knows who to contact in an emergency situation. So those that have prepared and have those documents in order, their care plan is so much better handled in that emergency situation.
Good. I mean, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's practical. Let me just give a little bit of overview of some of the legal documents. One is called a power of attorney. So that is a lifetime document if you can't make decisions for yourself or you're frankly tired of handling things and you pick an agent to do things for you. Here at Marshall Parker and Weber, we break it down into financial power of attorney and a healthcare power of attorney. Unfortunately, in the state of Pennsylvania, if you do not have a financial power of attorney, if something were to happen, so say for example, you've tried out Celebration Villa of Woolsock and you want to stay, and you decide you're going to sell your house, but while you were there, something happened to you cognitively. You just can't let your spouse sign off on the deed selling me your house. There needs to be a financial power of attorney. The alternative is going to court and becoming the guardian for your loved one. So you don't really want to put your family in that situation. Easy way to plan ahead to do a financial power of attorney. The other is a healthcare power of attorney, which covers HIPAA information, making healthcare decisions when you can, and end-of-life decision making. Pennsylvania does have a default statute called Act 169 that lists who can make decisions for you if you cannot and you don't have a document. But I will tell you from some of our clients, that might not be the person you want to make decisions for you, Wendy, right?
Correct.
So I'll give you an example of that. You know, if I'm married and I'm married to my second spouse and I have an adult child or two from a prior relationship, but I was a bad elder law attorney and I didn't do a healthcare power of attorney. My current spouse and my children that are adults from a prior relationship stand in the same shoes and majority rules. So I could have been married to my second spouse for 20 or 30 years, not see my adult children very often, and they can override what my current spouse wants. And plus, that can be a little dicey for you, Wendy, right?
Oh, yes.
If I'm at your facility and a treatment decision has to be made and people are fighting over who makes the treatment decision. The other issue without a healthcare power of attorney is if my philosophy at end of life is to not have treatment that's artificially going to prolong my passing, my default decision maker can say, oh yeah, don't give Tammy ventilator, etc. But what I am going to get without a document is hydration and tube feeding, which could prolong my life artificially. So one of the reasons you want to plan ahead. Another thing, and I'm just going to check here to see if we've received any questions. Okay, I don't see any yet. Another document for pre-planning is your will. Now, I don't want to be all doom and gloom when I die, but maybe, for example, Wendy, people pass there, unfortunately, and they may be owed a refund. Mm-hmm. And you need to know who you pay that refund to, right? So typically that would be to my estate, but who gets that check? So figure out your will ahead of time. Another issue for pre-planning that could come up, and again, these are some interesting issues, is what happens if I do die? Where do I go, Wendy? Do you call the coroner?
So usually in pre-planning, we're asking people these questions when they move in. Day one, we want to know what the plan is, who the contacts are, what your plans are. And again, pre-planning just makes that so much easier. We know what your wishes are. We know what the next step is, who to call. And if it's one person or two people, but at least it just makes that planning process, eventually they say it's going to happen. One way or another, but pre-planning does make it a little easier for those family members or institutions where you're at currently.
Okay, and if I go there, like, let's talk practical. Let's take a deviation from legal documents here for a second and I see we have lots more people signing on. Give them an opportunity to ask some questions. But, how do basic things happen? Like, how, if I'm coming in or my loved one is coming in to get a tour, and a lot of our clients are interested in, is the food good? Or how far down the hall do I have to walk to get to one of those activities that you talk about? And I know you have a really nice fireplace in your establishment. Tell us a little bit about that part.
Sure. So we encourage families to come for a tour, get a feel for the community, the staff, meet those individuals, the nurses that'll be part of that care plan, working with the family. We look at what interests each resident has in their care plan. Some residents are very interested in the activity programming, want to be close to activities. So we want to make sure that we can meet their needs, show them rooms that are close to the activities, the programming. Some are just interested in the salon that we have on site. Others, the restaurant. They want to be close to those 3 prepared restaurant style meals. And then many people they want to know what the food is like. So touring, seeing the options for the view that they have, whether it's the woods with the deer coming down and entertaining them daily, or if it's a courtyard with the flowers and the flower beds that we have there. But also coming to see other residents and ask them questions, getting to know the community itself, and actually having a meal. We just had a tour the other day, and we treated them to lunch, and they were on the video with their family, showing them the meal that was being prepared. And the grandmother actually said they underestimated when they told them about the community, that it was much more lovely in person. So everybody can come for a tour. We do tours 7 days a week and have an on-site visit, but we also offer a virtual tour. So if families can't come out to see us personally, we can do a virtual, via FaceTime, or on your phone we can set something up. But we'll do both virtual and on-site, just to give you a feel for what personal care is all about.
And so I can park there if I drive, right?
Most definitely.
And what if I don't drive, or I'm going to a healthcare appointment that, I might be getting my eyes dilated or something? Do you provide the ability for somebody to get me to and from?
Oh, most definitely. A lot that we see are maybe no longer driving for health reasons, or sight has been impaired. So we provide transportation with our van 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays currently, to local doctor's appointment, and that is a no-charge service. Our nurse helps arrange those services to make sure that we get them to those appointments, whether it's their local physician, their specialist, or the dentist and the eye doctor.
Oh, true. So that's a good planning ahead functionally with you at the personal care home. In terms of legal documents and discussion, and when we referred to this, you get your whole family involved, or whoever your support team is, and your legal team, because if you have all the disciplines together, you're going to get the best result. And if you can do this in a non-crisis, that's good as well. One of the things we plan ahead for is, as we know, we don't know how long we're going to live. We can look at, or when a crisis is going to hit, or when we get tired of taking care of our house and the lawn, and would have somebody fix and do things for us, instead of, we've been waiting on our spouses, our kids our whole life, let somebody else help us do it now. But there's, money is an issue. So in terms of legal planning, some people, if they're younger, look into long-term care insurance that may pay for going to a personal care home. Now, there's usually a component that you do need some help with an activity of daily living or two to activate that policy. So that's something you could do if you're younger. Another pre-planning is setting up an appropriate protection trust. And we have many resources on our website, paelderlaw.com, both webinars, YouTubes, and articles that talk about these protection trusts. But it's a way of giving you more options for payment if your health needs increase. And even if you can't stay, for example, at the personal care home level, if you need to move, as Wendy referred to, you're really not a nursing home.
Correct.
And under Pennsylvania law, which is what we're talking about here, they can't take care of you if you really need to be in a nursing facility. But we like to pre-plan ahead to see whether or not you would need or have the option of having Medicaid, which is federal and state money that pays for people who need to be in a nursing home. The in-between question we're often asked is, hey, is there any other money that can pay for my care? I'm a veteran, or my spouse was a veteran. So there is, and we often give webinars or in-person seminars on this because it helps the personal care homes and the people attending. So there's a program called Aid and Attendance for a veteran or the deceased or the spouse of a deceased veteran, and it's a monthly stipend that comes in. There are, of course, some rules to follow, and they look at your assets and your resources, and you have to have a little bit less than $130,000 to qualify, and you need to have the physical component. You need help with one or two activities of daily living, and you have to have what are called unreimbursed medical expenses that exceed your income. So part of, Wendy, I'm sure you or your business office has the calculations. If you give me my bill for my stay, how much of that is room and board versus a medical expense, so we can figure that out. And you have to have served during a period of wartime and been other than dishonorably discharged. So that means for a health reason or so it can't be a dishonorable discharge. So many times that money can really help, and depending upon who is the applicant, whether it's the spouse of the deceased veteran, that could be a little over $1,300 a month to assist, up to a little over $2,500 a month if you are a married veteran that's applying for this aid and attendance. So those are things that you really need an attorney, or you can call your Veterans Affairs coordinator in each county to do that. Wendy, you can't really assist with that, can you?
No,
Yeah.
And it does change, so it is so much easier for families to get a jump start on that application and work with an elder law attorney, preparing in advance a lot of the documents that are required. And sometimes families, when they are in a crisis situation, they're just overwhelmed with all of the requirements. So definitely we can point them in the right direction, but definitely the family is responsible for that.
Really, really good point. Again, if we haven't said plan ahead enough today, plan ahead. The tours are important, the documents are important, the what ifs are important. Have the conversations with your loved ones and support people before there's a crisis. Try to frame the what ifs when everybody's in a good state of mind and physically doing well. Another question which sort of dovetails into this that we often hear, or you may hear, Wendy, in the application process, do people ever ask, what if I run out of money?
All the time.
Yeah, and how do you?
So, if someone's with us, sometimes they're with us for a year, sometimes they're with us for 10 years. We just can't predict health or, what's going on medically. So some individuals do run into a difficult situation when they're running low on funds. So we do ask them to notify us, and we can work with them for their ultimate means, whether it be another personal care that just accepts their Social Security or their long-term stay in a community that will take them. Many times they need higher, they're not just financially, but also higher care needs.
Yeah, so that veterans aid and attendance may be appropriate. You know, Wendy, I know from working with her for a very long time, will ask, hey, are you a veteran or not? Or was your deceased spouse a veteran? Another one is, again, when we talk to families, sometimes there is a child, an adult child, who has the inclination and the financial wherewithal to pay for their loved one in a personal care home. And depending upon their situation under the IRS rules, that parent could actually become a dependent of their child, just like having their own children would be. So there could be a positive tax situation with that. So again, things to think through. Talk to your certified elder law attorney, come see us, set up a Zoom, or read different articles on our website. I wonder if you can think of, Wendy, and I'll give you a minute or 30 seconds to think about what's your most often asked question.
I would say with our community, because every personal care home is different, with our community, probably the biggest question I get, does my loved one qualify for personal care? If the family has never dealt with personal care before, they're not sure what, as far as their medical, what qualifies them to live in personal care. We offer 6 levels of care in our community. Some communities, they're not allowed to have a wheelchair or a mobility device like a scooter. So sometimes people aren't quite sure. Each community is a little different. And we do offer our nurse to do a level of care assessment for them, either in the hospital, nursing home if they're doing a rehab stay, or at our community. And we do offer home visits just to kind of let them know if they would qualify for our personal care community, and can give them advice on, sometimes people maybe need more of a secured memory care facility. So currently we do not have that. So that might be something that our nurse could recommend another community, but it is nice that we can offer that assessment to kind of point them in the right direction.
And have you ever had people who may get on hospice while they're in your facility?
Yeah, so some communities do not allow hospice or palliative care to follow them, but we do. We've had many situations where families want to be prepared, take care of their real estate, their home. They have a medical condition that they know, and they want to come to us on palliative care or hospice, and they do follow them in our community.
So that's good. That's a good, again, not the things you really want to think about now often, but questions to ask when you go interview people or shop for a personal care home. The only other additional thing in terms of paying for them, and again, as Wendy said, all personal care homes are different as to what they allow, if they have lockdown. Some personal care homes in Pennsylvania have some subsidies, either from people that passed away and left a lot of funds to them, and they have a benevolent fund. And that means, the rules may be if I go there and I stay there and I pay privately for a period of years, and all of them have their own rules, then if I do run out of my money, they will subsidize me through that benevolent fund and my income. So that's something you want to ask when you're shopping for homes. If you think that's going to be an issue, if you planned ahead and you have long-term care insurance, etc., that will not be an issue. And some of those programs also have restrictions. So, for example, if you've been giving your money away to somebody, or you apply there and you've given it away, they're not going to tap into their benevolent care funds to pay for your care, because it's just really not fair. They want to use it to people who've paid there. So I think, Wendy, what I'd like to sum up is Powers of attorney are really important, and powers of attorney for Pennsylvania are really important
Right.
because some people move out of state. They may be coming from another state and come to Wendy's facility because all of their children live geographically close. So they want to have support systems as they age. So it's very important to see if those out-of-state documents can be used
Correct.
in Pennsylvania. Have you had that issue?
We do have that quite often. Maybe families are in Florida, moving back to Pennsylvania to be closer to that power of attorney. Especially with COVID, we've seen a lot of people move back close to loved ones so that they can be closer with all the state restrictions we saw previously. They're moving closer, and we do see a lot of documents that are from another state, which makes me a little nervous. I usually recommend to come see an attorney to just make sure those state documents are still valid. So many states are different. So when I see that they are out-of-state documents, we definitely recommend to make sure that those are going to work in the state of Pennsylvania, because every state is a little different.
So, I mean, I appreciate Celebration Villa of Loyalsock being a co-host here today, and they have a Facebook page. So if you're seeing it from the Marshall Parker Weber side, please go and like
Celebration Villa of Loyalsock.
All right, because they have some great stuff. It's a pretty active page. I saw some very cute pictures today. They allow pets. So like them, go to our website, paelderlaw.com, if you have any questions. It's been great chatting with you, and have a great day. Stay safe.